The Air Force's mission capability rates of some aircraft have remained in the low 70% range over the last few years. The Air Force needs to have a 100% mission capability rate when considering countering Russia or China. Deborah Lee James is the former Secretary of the Air Force. She's also author of the book Aim High. Secretary James, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Great to be back, Mimi.
So you said this in 2015, quote, "More than half of our combat air force is not sufficiently ready for a high-end fight. A fight against an enemy with complex integrated air defenses, surface-to-air missiles, and the capability to shoot us down." Secretary James, is that still true? I mean, what's the current state of aircraft readiness?
The mission capability rates have improved since 2015, so it's not quite as dire a circumstance as existed some years ago, but it still isn't good enough. And there are at least four factors that contribute to ongoing problems with mission capability rates. I would say first and foremost is we have old aircraft in the Air Force, and we have had great difficulty in retiring those aircraft over time. Congress has not permitted it. There has been more progress this last year than before, but the fact that the aircraft is old, it means they break down more frequently. Secondly, is spare parts shortages, some of which they don't even make anymore because the aircraft are so old, and some of which is supply chain problems due to COVID. The third reason is a maintainer mismatch. We reduced our maintenance workforce too much years ago when we were undergoing a downsizing. We've been hiring ever since, but of course you hire junior people and it takes years to grow them into more experienced maintainers. So we have a mismatch of skills. And last is the budget. These constant CRs do not help. The uncertainty of the budget has hurt the mission capability rates as well.
So given all those limitations, what can the Air Force do to improve its mission readiness rates? Is there anything they're doing now?
Yeah, no, actually they're doing quite a bit. It's a very tough problem. Again, number one is the aircraft are very old, and there's only so much you can do with old aircraft. But the Air Force, I think, is moving in the right direction, and they're getting creative, quite frankly. So, for example, they have a variety of process improvement teams that are fanning out across the Air Force that are looking at process changes that would free up aircraft more quickly and increase the ability to turn them around more quickly. They're using predictive analytics. They're using AI. They're using 3D printing in order to print some of these spare parts that manufacturers simply don't make anymore. And this will shave a few days off of this aircraft fleet or that aircraft fleet. They're also pushing more capability out across the Air Force to a variety of bases in the Air Force to allow some additional maintenance to take place at home scene rather than having to send those aircraft off to the depot or off to some other location. That too saves days. And then the final one that comes to my mind is they're trying to do a better job of just flat out scheduling. There are 60-day maintenance requirements on many aircraft fleets, and they're trying to schedule that 60 days to happen at a time when it would not interfere with either operational matters or with training times. So just better scheduling can help. So all of these are in the right direction. They need to just keep it up.
You know, there's the Unmanned Reaper attack drone. It has a mission capable rate of 91%. Why do you think that number is high as opposed to some of the other aircraft?
You know, that's a good question, and I'm not sure I'm really qualified to say, but my guess is it's one of the newer airframes. It's not quite as old as some of the oldest that we have in our fleet. Because it's newer, the spare parts are more available. It is also flown, of course, remotely, so it may not be undergoing some of the terrible weather conditions and the brutal, harsh conditions on the ground that aircraft have dealt with for years in the Middle East. So it comes back to a less harsh environment, I'll say. So this is speculation on my part, but of course, that's where we'd like to see all of our aircraft fleets be, up in that 90% level.
Well, Secretary James, changing gears here a little bit, you know, this week kicks off Women's History Month, and you were the second female Secretary of the Air Force. Tell us a little bit about what your experience was like.
Well, I think for as long as I live and whatever else I may do in my life, and I'm doing some pretty interesting things now, that will forever be the most humbling, the most purposeful, the best job, the best opportunity that I've ever had for leadership and to hopefully make a positive impact on an important organization, important mission, and a lot of people. So it was great.
So what ways do you think you were more effective as a leader because you're a woman?
Well, you know, I think, I'm not sure this is because I'm a woman, but I think what women need to do, really what everyone needs to do, is they need to play to their strengths in jobs and opportunities, professional environments. And we have to be self-aware enough to know that we're not strong at everything, but play to your strengths. Don't undersell those strengths. Bring them to the table, bring your best game every day. So for example, in my case, I had never served in combat. I've never served in uniform. So this is an area where I would never try to out combat pilot the combat pilot, if you will. That's where you have to sit back, you have to listen. It's a team environment after all. But what I did bring to the table, I did bring knowledge of how to get things done in the Pentagon from a bureaucratic perspective. I understood policy. I had been on Capitol Hill, so I understood budgets and how things happen or don't happen in the Congress. And I also had had a business career. So after all, we depend on the business community to do an awful lot of what we need done in the Air Force. So the ability to partner and so on, I think that was another strength that I brought to the table. So no one is strong at everything, but everybody is strong at something. And I think we women sometimes undervalue our strengths. So bring your best game every day and don't undervalue your strengths, and make sure you've got a good team surrounding you.
All right. Well, Secretary James, thanks so much for that.
Thank you.